Bulavinaka, Talofalava, Malolele, and Kia ora family. Welcome back to the Nesian Money Show. My name is Joe. My brother Izzy here, and today we've got a very, very unique guest, guys. Our brother here, Darren.
What do you
Darren
mean unique, Joe? Come on,
a
man.
very unique guest, guys. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction to Darren and tell you what he does and what he's all about. And we're going to pick his brains today and just ask him a little bit about his life story. This show is all about empowering our Pacifica families in the areas of money, business, and also specific career aspirations that people may have. Darren's unique. So let me just give you a little bit of a spiel about what Darren has done and who he is. For over 25 years, Darren has excelled at producing television and telling stories while attracting mass audiences to the shows to shows that he has helped shape. He has built quite the reputation for his writing and TV instincts, uniquely straddling both iconic news and current affairs shows like 60 Minutes, Spotlight, or the 7 Network.
Yes, man.
And nightly current affairs like Today Tonight, while also writing and creating for reality TV stalwarts like The Block, My Kitchen Rules, and Australian Ninja Warrior.
Oh, yes.
Today, as a happily married father of 3 beautiful girls, he is assisting the Catholic Archdiocese of Sydney as their manager for news, media and communications, a job that brings real meaning and joy while employing all the skills and expertise acquired over the last 2.5 decades in media.
Joe, you got that right. That is amazing. Wow.
There's a lot there. So
But thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here, boys, and to see the brothers doing this amazing podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm honored to be here to share the story and to share in the culture because you guys are doing an amazing job telling stories from all sorts of Pacific walks of life. The 50 Shades of Pacific are out there. And thank you for inviting me to be here.
Thank you.
Izzy
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Darren. Thank you. Darren, let's go first with the first question. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, what it was like?
Thank you. Well, look, it all starts with a boy from the West who grew up as a child who, from the very start, knew that he was adopted.
Yes.
I was of a Tongan heritage. My mum and dad, who adopted me at 5 months old, were Mauritian. And I've always grown up with the fact that mum said to me, I didn't grow up in her womb, I grew up in her heart. But she said that she was very fortunate that a young Tongan nurse who had a child with a Baptist minister couldn't keep me and left me on the steps of a church in Canterbury, and then they found me in an orphanage at 5 months old and grew up, raised out west. Our mum was a Catholic school teacher, dad was a postie at Seven Hills, and basically grew up in the west of Blacktown, Patrician Brothers boy, loved my rugby league, always had that idea that, this Tongan heritage was part of my birthright, but I was brought up in the Mauritian culture. Very similar, islands, both very proud of their cultures, love their food. But, Mauritians are tiny people. They're very small. They're very kind of so I always kind of grew up very kind of much bigger than my cousins. Yeah. And I have a brother who's from an Indian heritage. So it was a real Benetton family. We were very kind of unique, but always love and faith was the binding force that held us together. And mum and dad, Liz and Lindsay Alley, I always, love our story. It's so unique. It's an Australian story. It's a story that, they came out here in 67. I was born in 73. And so my brother's 75. And we kind of came together in this unique kind of family unit that has never been stronger, has always been kind of forged in the fires of faith.
Yeah, man. When I heard your story, I was like, man, there's something I've got to tell this story. I've got to tell Darren's story. It's like you don't know there might be somebody out there, that has a similar story to you that could that we could inspire, Darren. So
thank you, Joe. Thank you, man.
It's amazing. So Canterbury, when you say Canterbury, like Bankstown, like is that that's where you were born. So you were born
That's
in
right.
Australia?
That's right. Yeah, and there was an orphanage out there that mum and dad came out here in '67, and they couldn't have children. So in '73, 6 years after trying, they thought, and I think it's always kind of brave step for a couple to sort of take the step to adopt. Yeah. You know, knowing that you can't biologically have a child, but to know that you want to raise a child, and then to sort of say, right, well, we're going to take the leap of taking on a child that's not biologically ours, but we will raise them as ours, and we will raise them as our own, and we'll raise them in the Australian way, in our Mauritian way, but in the faith, and I always find that to be a unique kind of trait for me, that it sort of sets me apart and always make me want to sort of try harder and really, kind of make them proud. Because I always thought that I won the lottery, having them kind of find me in the orphanage and then pick me, because they were looking for a dark child. So I was the only dark child in that little pen. And I always I remember when the similar thing with my little brother, they went to pick my little brother, and they went to the orphanage to find him, and they were looking at this other kid, and I said, don't pick him, because his head's so small. My head in every photo will look bigger. And, the little Indian kids, their heads they're little kids. So in every school photo, we're together, you've got this massive Islander head next to this little child, that we're both brothers. So if you look at him now, it's similar thing. Pumpkin head and little raisin head over here. And I remember saying, please don't pick him, because we won't look good in photos. But they did. He was unfortunately the only little brown kid there as well. But they got 2 brown kids, and they raised up in our little brown family, and that's it. I have 3 or 4 different shades of brown in that family.
Oh, man.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Have you gone over to Mauritius?
That's right, Mauritius. Yeah, I've been to Mauritius only once, actually, boys.
Actually, can you tell us a bit about Mauritius, like
Mauritius
history?
culture, Mauritius is a little island off the coast of Madagascar, near Madagascar, near South Africa. It's in the Indian Ocean, and it's near little islands like Seychelles and Reunion Island. They love their Indian and Chinese food, so it's very much Indian, Chinese, and French. So it was colonized by the French, so what I love about Mauritius is their food, is amazing combination of curries, of Chinese food. So you've got lots of noodles and lots of, fried rice, but then you've also got the French influence. So you've got the gratin, the potato gratin, which is a fabulous dish, and mixed in with the farata and the dal puri, which is like a beautiful dal mixed in with like a very light, flaky kind of cake. But it's the Sega is the national dance, and they're very kind of love their music, surrounded by beautiful crystal beaches. So very much island, very much like Tonga. And it's not hard to kind of see the similarities. Very joyful people, very faithful people. Yes. And I went there in '78, and I haven't been back there. I was only 5. I turned 5 over there. Yeah. But look, it's a playground for a lot of rich, so all my relatives are here now. So if I wanted to go there, I'd have to be paying some high hotel bills. But look, it's a gorgeous place, and I feel very fortunate to have that sort of as part of my heritage there. Mauritius, Maurice.
Yeah. So have you learned much about the Tongan side? Have you connected?
Look, it's something that I have picked up along the way, and many islanders have sort of adopted me along the way in terms of trying to teach me things. But it's not something that I have been able to immerse myself in. And it's funny being here in Australia and with Mauritian parents. It's kind of I had feet in both kind of countries, and it's something that is in my bucket list that I've always wanted to sort of dive deeper into my Tongan heritage to learn the language, and because when people see you, they only see a Tongan, and then it's when the Islanders come up to you and they talk, and I would love to engage in the language,
but I can only speak French.
I can't even speak French, guys. That is the cruelty of it all. Because my parents wanted to really sort of integrate into the community, they gave me the name Darren. Now, is there a bigger bogan Aussie name than Darren? Dazza. Hey, Dazza. So, you know, Dad became the first dark member of the Belfield Bowling Club, and Mum was teaching school, and it was kind of like just get into the culture. And so, yeah, it is something, boys, that I would love to. And this is, you know, a wonderful opportunity for me to hang with the boys and to, you know, really celebrate my Pacific Islander heritage in a way. That is something that I definitely would love to do a deeper dive into.
Yeah, it's weird because when you say, you know, when people see you, they just see this Tongan guy. But the connection is there. You know, when I see you, I see the same, but something. It's like maybe a spiritual connection, I don't know, that connects all us islanders together. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's easy just to get along, just firstly by how you.
Isn't it funny? You know, yeah. And I feel it's growing up and being with white mates, walking through Blacktown, West Point, and every islander you see, you'd give a little wink or a nod, or you know, like, and everyone would be like, the boys would be like,
do you know him?
And I'd be like, no, but we have this connection that immediately is the natural reaction to. How's it going, bro? What's up? And they think that is such a special thing, and it really is. It is that little, how you going? And even though I didn't grow up in the culture, I do understand that and realise that is one of the wonderful supernatural, preternatural kind of connections that bind us. That is something that is so unique. Awesome. To who we are. It's the brotherhood. So
you went to St. Patrician Brothers?
I went to Patrician Brothers.
Yeah. How was that growing up at school? Were you one of the few?
I was only one of the few Islanders. Yeah, there was Albert Pillier, I remember, who was 7 foot tall and came in with a ghetto blaster that he sold to me for $1.50. Completely legitimately bought.
Nothing's changed with Islander boys.
That's right.
What year was that?
That was 86, I think.
So you started that trend there. And it's still going.
Right, well, yeah, look, I like to say that I left the legacy there is that, you know, but I did play footy. I captained St. Pat's Blacktown back in the day. And since then, like, they've gone on to become a football factory, churning out wonderful Islander graduates like, you know, Luai and Spencer Lenu, and the list goes on. But, Patrician Brothers Blacktown was amazing. And in terms of formation and faith, and in terms of setting the foundations for this Catholic lad you see before me, great charism with the Patrician Brothers. But football and faith has always been kind of a constant throughout my school life. And growing up in Blacktown, setting up your characteristics, who you are, is always something that I could draw on. And throughout my life, being a Westie has always been something that has been, you know, a proud trait of mine that I've used in my career, because oftentimes in workplaces you are the only one that is from the West, or you are the only island or Pacific, you know, not Pacific, but you are the only dark-skinned person in that place that you can kind of like, well, look, before, you know, diversity, you know, was in the workplace, but you could use that as a superpower.
Yeah. It's a uniqueness of you. Yeah, that's why I say unique. When I say unique, you were unique.
Well, I've used it, bro. I used it. So when I, you know, going from uni and stuff and trying to get into the media, it was like when I did Work Experience at Channel 7's Today Tonight. I looked around and I said, wow, the only dark fella here is Stan Grant and Ernie Dingo on Better Homes and Gardens. And I went, well, there you go. That's my superpower. Brothers. And Stan looked at me and he went to me, you ain't no operative. You ain't no operative. And I went, no, man, look, I'm here. I'm here to be your cultural attaché to the western suburbs. I'm here to build bridges, and I can look around you and all I see is honkies around me. And this is my superpower, because I can get stories that none of you Palangi can get. So I am out there. And that's how I kind of carved my niche into the media. I was like the guy that could go into the hood and, you know, talk to people, get stories that others couldn't, go into areas that others couldn't. And Stan Grant really adopted me in that respect. He was kind of the host of Today Tonight at the time of Indigenous culture, very proud Warrior man. And he was always sort of someone who would kind of take me on jobs and sort of show me how it's all done and stuff. But I jumped the gun somewhat there, boys. But I'm just saying that, my Western culture has always been something it's been, you know, a proud kind of hook as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, before we even get to that, we'll go back to growing up in Blacktown. I guess you seen it change from when you were growing up to the early 90s and through the 2000s? Like for us growing up in the 2000s, it was like, I just want to get out of here. Like it's probably that shithole, if you said, for me thinking like that, growing up in Blacktown about do it, but it's just, but now the vibe and the culture's changed there again, and people actually are proud to represent where they come from. So how have you seen that change over time?
Look, I think there's been some great advancements in terms of fostering Western Sydney pride. You've got the Western Sydney Wanderers. You've got Parramatta, booming out of its shell, because it's the central part of Sydney. It's the centre of Sydney. So from that, out of Parramatta, you've got sort of wonderful advancements in terms of schooling. You've got the Hills High School sports. You've got I think the Penrith Panthers have also done a lot in terms of really kind of building up and getting rid of the stigma of being brought up in Mount Druitt. It is a sense of pride now. Yes. You've got guys like Luai and that core group of Panthers that celebrate their heritage, celebrate their postcode.
Yes.
The fact that they come from the Druitt, and that's become a badge of honour now. Much in the same way LA and Compton and that have grown up, and they've become sort of real areas of pride and cultural sort of, I guess, centre points. You've got 1-4 with hip hop, and you've got other bands that have come out of the West that are really celebrating that fact, singing about it, making it something that is something to be celebrated. The fact that they've come out and they're still there, building their community up. I think it's something that's wonderful. That's really sort of reflective of a change in the tide and a real kind of embracing of where they're from, rather than shunning it, which is something that we might have done back in the day. They've done a lot to really engender that pride and really kind of change the narrative and celebrate the postcode from where they're from. And it's great, and I hope it continues. And the more you see these boys from Patrician Brothers, from Blacktown, which is now kind of seen as a real football factory, and you see the Panthers going for a 5-peat, and you see these communities just pumping out this a generation after generation of footballers, then I think it can only get better and goes from strength to strength, onward and upward for the West, I say.
Yes, awesome. Man, it's good though. I see the changes as well, and I see our people evolving, and the city's evolving. What made you get into the media, television and media, Darren?
It's funny, I always loved, I was always extroverted as a kid, so I always loved performing. I was always singing in bands and stuff, so there's that Tongan heritage coming out again. And, it's something that I always wanted to be a part of. And my teacher at school, Mr. Vella, it was a careers day, and I said, Mr. Vella, what do you reckon I should become? And he said, I think you'd be a great journalist, Darren. And I went, journalist? What does that do? And he goes, well, you're the communicator, you're the mouthpiece for the community. You go out there and you find stories and you tell the stories. And I thought, that's a great job. So I wanted to do the course at university, which was at UTS Communications. That was the course to get into, boys. But you needed a massive TER score, which I just buckled down 9 hours a day. 1990, that was the year 12, giving away my age, but hey, the black don't crack, so so and then I got the score, got into the course, and that was the grounds for. But look, the course is nothing, right? Because one thing you do learn during that course is that. And I'll never forget the lecturer going, there's 300 of you here doing the course. Maybe 3 of you might get a job in the media. The rest of you, the first question you'll be asking, do you want fries with that order? That was the reality of being in the media. So it's very competitive. And look, I found that after a year of labouring, renderer's labourer at Parramatta Westfields, out of uni, mixing up concrete, trying to find a job. And the first kind of the first step I took was some work experience. Work experience at Today Tonight at Epping at Channel 7.
Yes.
And that's where I said, hey, guys.
It's for you.
This is, look, I'm just looking at a sea of white people here. And I can tell you right now, the stories are out west. Yeah. And I am your ticket to those stories. Yeah. And my executive producer at the time, Mari Moore, and Stan Graham was the host. They said, let's put this guy on $150 a week.
Oh, wow, back then.
Back then. No, $150 a day, sorry. They said, look, Darren, I'm sorry, we're going to only offer you $150. $150 a day? Are you kidding me? That's amazing. That was incredible money back then. So that was the start, boys. I just went into Work Experience at Today Tonight. They took me on board, and then I was there for over 15 years, just as a researcher, then went on to producer and then a senior producer, and loved it. Just the thrill of nightly current affairs, of trying to chase stories every day, of being at the coalface of nightly current affairs. Means that when you get in the morning, there's a story breaking, and they say, Daz, because I've been there 6:30, and they say, Darren, you're chasing that woman, the wife of the person who just set that fire on that hostel in the back of Belmore. And then you'd head out to Belmore, you'd try and find that person, or you'd make calls, and then you'd call up the police, and then you'd find them, or you'd track them down. And I was always just had this sort of instinct to try and find people. I remember someone in Mount Druitt had won the lotto, and all they knew was that they lived kind of in the Druitt. And they said, Darren, get a taxi, go out to the west, find that person.
Yes.
And I'm just like, okay, all right. I just went to the news agency because, news agencies are a hub of the... I said, because they obviously had to buy the lotto tickets. So I just went to the news agency in Bidwell at the shops there and said, does anyone know of any? And they said, I think that person might be at the St. Mary's Bowling Club right now. And I went, are you kidding me? Went to the St. Mary's Bowling Club. There was a party going on. I went, hey, bro, did you by any chance? He goes, how did you find me? And I went, hey, Today Tonight, I got you, man. So I was always that guy that got lucky. And they went, how do you do that, Darren? And I was like, that's black magic, baby. That's my instincts. That's my superpower. Spider-Man's got things coming out of his, Captain America, Black Panther. I am the Black Town prophet. I am the guru. I am the man. I am the hunter.
Let's go. Let's go.
And that's it. I used to go out and I used to find stories.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and that was how I kind of continued to move up the chain and become a senior producer at Today Tonight.
So you're a hard worker, but you had fun, right?
I loved it. I loved nightly current affairs, going out with the crew, chasing stories in a crew car with two. You'd always be out with a cameraman and a sound guy, and there was 4 teams, and each of the guys were just great fun. You'd also had a corporate card too, so Darren would always be relied on to somehow find his way to a yum cha restaurant or buffet land in Parramatta. Somehow, well, sorry, boss, I had to take the talent out to buffet land or to the yum cha because I needed to talk them into doing the story. And guess what? They love dumplings, so. Beautiful. The way to the talent's heart is always food, and the way to the crew's heart to make them happy is always the food. And that's how Darren maintained his 120 kilogram stature during those whole Today Tonight times, and he killed it. So, it was great times. I had a great fun. Look, just chasing stories, writing the stories. So once you got the story in the can, you'd have to come back to Epping. So you'd transcribe all the tapes, and then you'd work in with an editor to cut the story up and to put it out that night, which was a same day. So the same day as were what you kind of were your stock and trade in terms of nightly current affairs. That's where you really cut your you did the work because that's the hardest kind of thing. The story breaks in the morning. You find the story before sort of 2 or 3, come back with those tapes, transcribe it, and then sit with an editor for an hour. And we had greatest editors, Wagga, Jimmy, and Damo, and we just pump it out. And 6:30 it'd be on, and you just go, wow. Alternatively, though, if you lost the story, if you didn't get the story, it'd be on 6:30 on a current affair on Channel 9, and everyone would be like, "Hey, Darren, wasn't that the story you were chasing?" And I'm like, the kryptonite was out that time in Mount Druitt, or something I couldn't get my powers on to working, or that they would offer money, or they would kind of buy the story. That's how I'd say.
Oh, it's like a thrill, like an adrenaline.
Always, I can't describe to you the thrill of the chase every day for those many years of chasing those stories. It's thrilling. It's always great. You live by the seat of your pants, and then you at 6:30 you live or die. Because if you're chasing that story, as I said, if 9 has it, then you failed.
Yeah,
and your boss says to you, "Hey, Darren,
yeah.
you know that wife of the hostel guy that set fire to that thing in Bullock, she's on 6:30 talking to Ray Martin." And I'll be like, "Yeah, boss. You know what? They had bigger dumpling budget than I did." So
increase the limit on my card.
they took it out to Chinatown, boss. What can I say?
Did you learn like when you at university? Was it a long how many years to be?
It was 3 years, Joe.
Okay,
but you know what? You know everything that you learn at uni, you don't really apply to anything that I did at school. It was at work. It was. I mean, I don't put anything down on those uni courses. And to tell you the truth, no one ever actually asked me to pull out my degree when I did work experience. It was the fact that you did work experience and that you showed how you did it. No one. Maybe I think when I did go for work experience, they did ask me, "Do you have a uni degree?" And I said, "Yeah, I did my BA in communications at UTS," and that was a bit of an in. But to tell you the truth, sometimes the best way to do it is sometimes to just go out and do it.
Yeah.
Did you just go up there by yourself, or to go and get work experience, or did you know someone?
I did. No, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone.
Just knocked on the front door.
It's funny. I was doing a lot of youth work back then, so I was involved with Wentworthville Youth Centre. I was sort of just loved being involved in the community back at uni, in organising band nights. I had my own band, Citizen Dog, for many years. We were a rap metal band. It was so good.
Rap metal.
Rap metal. Yeah. So like Body Count meets Rage Against the Machine. I was the lead singer. T-Boy Barabbas, and we had my guitarist, Ivan Fantastic, and my bass player, Archie Moo, and my drummer, Marky Boy, and we'd always play around Sydney, and it was the best. But through that, I had my radio show, community radio show, radio out there, 98.5, come alive, give us a smile on your dial. But through that, I was doing a lot of community work. And there was one community day where they had the executive producer from Today Tonight and the journalist from 60 Minutes, not George Negus, but Mike Monroe, on a panel for kids from non-English speaking backgrounds. And I was on the panel with them talking about, just my interests and stuff like that. And I looked at them and I said, listen, if you're really serious about giving people from non-English speaking backgrounds a break, you should give me some work experience. Here's my CV. Boom.
Nice.
Guys, seize any opportunity you can. Anytime you're in proximity with any of these people with the power, use it. Let's go.
Yeah, Darren. So with tell us a little bit about the music, like your band that you had, Darren. That's an interesting.
Look, I've always loved music, and I started learning guitar back in year 11, and picked it up straight away. I think all Highlanders can just pick up a guitar and just like C, G, D. Yeah, I get it. Even though my fingers kind of covered up half of the fret, I immediately kind of picked it up. Rhythm guitar is our thing, right? No lead guitar, because the lead kind of, but the guitar, we got the chords down. So then, back in the day, Ice-T, Body Count, and rap metal was a new thing. So we kind of did a bit of a funk kind of Chili Peppers meets Body Count, Ice-T sort of thing. Citizen Dog was the band. And we did songs like Westy Funk and... Give Me Back My Beanie, which was a song about, a bouncer who took my beanie off me at Penrith Leagues Club. You write about what you know, right? But it was great. It was great. But look, since then I've still been singing, and from Citizen Dog I sort of have been, now the work is in covers bands, so I was in a lot of funk disco covers bands, Tongan Jones and the Funkin' Great Band, and recently I was in Confetti Disco. Look it up on YouTube. YouTube. It is hilarious. I had to leave that band because obviously as a disco band we wore platform shoes, and with my gouty knees, it wasn't going well, guys. 4 hours into it, it was pain. It was a world of pain. So had to give that away. But look, I'm hoping to start up a yacht rock band, 70s soft rock. It's going to be called the Love Boat. I'll be Captain Stubbing wearing a white uniform. And setting sail, boys.
You can grow up Mauritian, but you can't get rid of the gout, eh?
That's right. Oh, bro, the gout is something that haunts me. It is my kryptonite. It has been a spectre over my life. The paranormal activity of the gout is just constantly in the knees, in the feet. So
must have been all those dumplings. Oh no!
I think it's the prawn dumpling. The prawn dumplings, definitely. The prawn dumplings and the beer. Unfortunately, I've also adopted the fact that Islanders get gout. I mean, and the Mauritians get the gout. So that's my favourite. Yeah. My favourite saying is gout. Oh, it's awful.
Have you faced any unique challenges and in the media industry?
Look, I think. Definitely. You know, it's obviously a very white-dominated industry, but it's something where sometimes, you know, what you saw as your niche sometimes became something that, well, wow, is that all I'm ever going to be chasing? You know, I was never sent off to do those big stories at the Olympics and things because I was always seen as the guy that was on the ground doing the kind of more Sydney-based. You know, Darren's really just a hood rat. He's only good for that sort of stories, or you know what I mean. So I kind of wasn't sent off to the biggest international stories. That all changed though because I then became Sonia Kruger's producer. Now Sonia Kruger, she's the host of The Voice. Yes, she's you know Tina Sparkles from Strictly Ballroom, but she's become a real a star of Australian television. But back then she was a Today Tonight reporter. So I was able to be she picked me to be her producer, and through that I was granted kind of access to celebrities like Elton John. You know, we went to the Oscars for many years into LA. And so whilst I wasn't kind of set to do those international current affairs stories, I did find a niche with entertainment and became Sonia's producer. And she, you know, I sang at a wedding. She came to my wedding. She's amazing, and to this day, we're still friends. But you know, it kind of made up for the fact that I wasn't. Look, whatever you do, you can kind of like you complain about it, but somehow you try and find your way through it. You make the best of what you know. God has set for you, and he finds a way to kind of, okay, Darren, no, this door is shut for you, but you know what? I'm going to open this door for you.
Any mentors or anyone that sort of guided you in that area?
Definitely Stan Grant at the beginning. Yep. You know, he was amazing because he kind of took me under his wing and showed me the way. There was a presenter called Peter Luck. Now, a lot of people might not remember Peter Luck, but he was a host who gave me my first crack at writing things, and that was called The Weekend Rap, which was this weekend, there's going to be this sort of thing. He was the first one to kind of give me a break, and just in terms of allowing me to write things. So that's where I realised I can actually not just go out and find stories, but I can sit at the computer and write. And so writing was a way of expressing oneself, and also sort of carving out another niche where I then became the producer who found the story that could come back and then write the story. So it was like, you know,
it's layering, just adding into the toolbox, hey?
It's just kind of adding more colours to the canvas and saying, listen, guys, I'm not just one colour. You know, I'm various other shades of this person that you think I am, and I can do this for you and do it well. So that was another avenue.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been very driven from a very early age, you know, captaining the school team, being in the youth, involved in youth, and then media at such an early age. Where do you think that drive comes from?
You know what? I think it's always been that sense of that I'm the only one here that's looks like me.
Yeah, wow.
That is like me from where I live.
Yeah.
So I think it often sets you apart and makes you sort of think, well, I need to actually try harder. Yeah. I need to actually apply myself and show them that. Because I think sometimes in workplaces, people look at you and they have this certain idea that, you know, this is who I think this guy is, and this is, you know, who I think, what role I think he can play. And they might kind of set you as that kind of guy, whereas you need to kind of show them that, you know, you have other strings to your bow, and the only way you can do that is by doing it and by showing them you can do that consistently. And that's where that drive comes to sort of, I guess, really kind of, you know, climb out of where you come from, and I guess allow yourself to, or allow them to see that, I'm not just that guy. I can do more things. So that's the drive, I think, is just to, you know, and plus I was just very curious. So I always wanted just to sort of explore and kind of, you know, see where I can go and see what I can do, and sort of, you know, it's always been sort of a trait of mine, and I'm thankful for that. And, you know, it's something that's been inbred in me from my parents and from from where I grew up. I think, as a Westie as well, you always realise that you need to try a little harder than these guys. Because you're always from guys from school, from Knox. Their dad works as an EP there. They're third generation media people, that their dad was on TV in the 50s, then his other dad was the host, now he's coming up, and you're like, wow, I got to take on you. Okay, let's go. I'm going to show you. And that's where you kind of like, land the bigger punches and, dodge the bigger blows, and you kind of try harder and just sort of...
just hard work and work ethic. And,
I think so, bro. I think it's always harder work. I think we can dig down and get into the ditch and just kind of... But look, you got to kick goals, right? Yeah. And you got to show them that, my stories can get ratings, and that's where I'd always come up with the good stories. I'd always say, hey boss, what about this Real Housewives of Bidwell, or what about this, I'll be like, always come up with story ideas.
Creative,
so it's showing them that I am the hunter, but I'm also the creator, and then I'm also the creator, the hunter, and I'm also the writer. So that's where you can kind of always sort of flourish, always evolve, and show other shades to you.
Yeah, see, when I say unique, I truly mean unique, man.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
I guess when you have that, curiosity, and you want to go out and sort of things, but I think also you bring it back to go, family life and home was a safe place, and you always had your family support and everything. And how important was that for you?
Oh, certainly. Always, and. Family's always been essential to who I am and what I want to do, and it's funny. I see those that have kind of climbed maybe higher than I never got to those positions of executive producer or state producer, but I always saw that those people are the ones that had broken marriages, or that separated from their kids. Because what happens is that the work in the media is so overwhelming and enveloping that when you reach a certain stage, it's 24/7, boys. It's like it's all you can do is think about the show, the stories that you're going to create, or the constant kind of, it overtakes your life, and it just envelops everything. So I think. I could see how there's a certain level where you need to pull back and find the balance. Otherwise, you are going to find yourself sort of so overwhelmed with it all that, family will suffer, and then your marriage will suffer, and you can kind of fall into, there's some big drinkers, and there were some guys and girls, ladies that were in the job that, they tended to kind of manage the stress through other things that then really impacted their life. And, I could see myself going down that path, but, you sort of have to pull back and kind of say, look, there's a balance that's needed there.
Yeah, talking about family life, so your beautiful wife, Chloe, how did you guys meet? And tell us a little bit about your girls. I mean, you guys they all play sport, and they're also
look,
good
that's
at what
right.
they do. So.
Thanks, Joe. I mean, Chloe and I met through a friend at Today Tonight, actually, and my friend Ordell, said, I know this girl, Chloe. You'd love to meet her. She loves music. She loves hip hop, and she has more records than you do, Darren. She loves music. So she was doing a show called Digging in the Crates on Radio Skid Row at the time, and we met, and immediately I just said, can we be? It would be great. And since then it's just been we've been the love of our lives. But from that, we've had 3 beautiful girls, Remy, Asha, and Poppy. They're 16, 12, and 10 respectively, and they all love their sport, they all love their faith, and they're all just beautiful. So they live here in Northmead, and we all love our schools and love Little Athletics, Oztag, and they're real big AFL.
AFL, so
AFL
Remy
girls.
And are they all 3 of them play?
All
AFL,
3 of them play. Remy for
Pennant
Hills, and Asher for Borkham Hills, and little Remy Poppy for Pennant Hills as well. But it's I think it's testament to Chloe and I that these girls are so just really really grounded, really love their sport, really good at sport as well. I think they're really kind of finding their place.
Got it from dad or mum's
Well,
side?
not the AFL. I can't jump to save my life.
Oh, the cardio?
No cardio at all. I'm good over 10 metres and over 5-minute spurts. But, these guys can run. So thankfully, Chloe's got that endurance side of things. I think she might be part Kenyan because they tend to run a lot, these guys. They can run.
That Mauritian goes there.
Yeah, there is something from that. I think there is that Mauritian element. But, look, I thank God every day that I have these girls. And, they have been just a wonderful gift for both of us. I quit smoking this year.
Yeah,
because
awesome. Well done, man.
there's
Congrats.
nothing like 3 girls banging on the glass door saying, Dad, stop smoking, to finally quit that last vice that I had.
How are you feeling now?
Fantastic.
Looking good?
Guys, looking great.
I was saying earlier, man, the skin looks
Guys,
replenished.
there's nothing wrong,
Look at this.
yeah.
What did you wear makeup, hair, and wardrobe this morning,
thank
mate?
you.
You didn't need it.
I thought he did. He didn't need it.
But you know what, boys? It's, the real thing is that, your wallet.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I can't afford $60 a packet of cigarettes, and look, trying to find the illegal Chinese ones, it was just becoming a bridge too far for me. So that's been great.
Yeah, Daz, here, so home ownership, because you sort of grew up in that Mauritian family. Home ownership, it's one of those things. It's just for Australians, it's normal. It's the Australian dream. What was what's your experience been like, or in terms of what do you think? What is the importance of home ownership in terms of with family and stuff?
Oh, look, I've never really rented. I've always kind of been to look at buying a home and then getting a mortgage. And thankfully, I've always been in a position where I've been able to try and get a deposit for a house.
Yeah.
Find the best deal for me in terms of getting a mortgage broker like yourself, Joe. Yeah. And I know you've helped us before find an amazing deal. And it's all about really kind of having a home that you can work towards paying off, and having something that you can call your own. I think something also that is a gift is where you can add things to it. So once it's yours and once it's your baby, then you can kind of do the alterations and the renovations. But for me, that's what is ultimately what we're working for every day, is paying off that house, getting that mortgage down, and giving the girls. That's what we lived. My first flat was in Parramatta. Then I moved to Summerhill and bought a little house there for about $500,000, 500 grand. And we kind of had our children there. Yes. And then they were like, Dad, what is a backyard? And I'm like, well, it's this patch of green that kids talk about. This idyllic sort of little area, 3 by 3 meters, that you can sometimes put a thing called a trampoline in. Yeah. Sometimes kids have a bit of a thing. It's like a hole with a water in it called a pool. They said, Dad, we'd like to visit this fairy tale land. So then we looked to the hills, and we sort of came to the hills to sort of, and that's where we've been. And that's been the dream, bro, is to,
for your family, right? Stability, an environment where they can grow, and
a
just
base,
feel,
a HQ, a family HQ for you to build.
Ooh, I like that one, family HQ.
Yeah. I like that. The HQ is one where, I've always dreamt of each girl having their bedroom, and then, my wife and I just kind of like, good night, girls. Go away, Dad. I love you too, darling. Good night, Asha. Shut the door. Thank you, darling. I love you as well. Remy, good night. Boyfriend, get out. So that's been the dream. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like I love my 80s sitcoms like Family Ties and the Sullivans, and they always Brady Bunch, and they always had bedrooms, and they always had bunk beds, and that was my dream. So I'm living it now. Albeit with a great diet of side eye and rolling eyes. I got 3 daughters, so I'm just I'm fed a steady diet of you're embarrassing, Dad, but also side eye and rolling eye.
You're outnumbered.
I am so outnumbered.
Well,
Luckily,
you've got
I've
your
got
little, I think, man cave there, and
well, I've got my man cave with my pinball machine. Every man, if I can give you any advice out there, find a little with your family HQ. Find your man HQ, because every man needs a little headquarters where they can call their own bar, couch, TV, PS5, and a bar fridge.
Beautiful.
And then you're sorted.
Joey's HQ is the lawnmower and the big backyard.
I know exactly. The HQ can be the lawn, because there's nothing better than having your own lawn. That's part of the house. And living in the hills, I'm surrounded by houses with carpet court lawns. Yes. They're straight out of the carpet court. I've got the guy across from me. He has a lawnmower where you ride on it, and it's literally the roller which they use for lawn bowls. They take it seriously. So
it's a competition.
I got side eye from my daughters. I get side eye from my neighbours if I'm not keeping my lawn honeymoon fresh. Wow. Honeymoon fresh.
Bringing the value down.
I brought the value down when I moved in, so I need to kind of like bring in I need to keep the lawn fresh. Otherwise, then bad neighbour.
Oh.
So, for young Pacific Islanders looking to get into TV and media, what sort of advice would you have for them, Darren?
I don't think there's a better time for Islanders to get into it than right now. Yeah. I think TV. If you look at the media space now. There's so many more brown faces on television, in advertising. I mean, it's like, wow. Yes. They've got an African couple there with the brown neighbour. They've just gotten picked up by an Indian Uber driver in the TV show, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy diversity all over the top. So get in there. This is the time when, if you can show you can do the job, their networks are needing to fill those quotas, because they want to fill to show that they're diverse. They got this kind of idea. I think this is where the media landscape is changing.
And society is evolving, in terms of multicultural.
But now finally, now you're seeing more and more diversity now on our screens. Yeah. And if you can come at them with a CV where you've done some work experience in different places, where you've got a show reel where you can do little podcasts or do little sort of sample stories that you're filming yourself. If you've got a YouTube channel, that's where I think you can really show networks and show the executives out there that you've got the skills, you've got the goods, and you've got the drive and desire to do it.
Well, the guys on ABC who are doing the Pacific Island sports, with Sam and Sarah and Lonnie being on TV, doing the Ninja Warrior and getting on The Apprentice, we're starting to get out there, and the boys winning the race. What's that called? Amazing race with Ty and his brother,
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You're seeing more and more. Back in the day when I was coming up in the mid-90s, it was a wasteland. It was seriously. It was Ernie Dingo. It was Stan Graham. It was John Hill on Channel 10 News. It was very scattered. Like, there was not many faces of brown colour on television. Now's the chance to strike. Now's the chance to kind of really represent and get more of the faces out there.
I guess we're also, I'm a first generation sort of migrant too here, so I guess we are like new in the space, so we're just sort of. It is our time to shine, and we've got to embrace the opportunity.
And I applaud you boys for doing it. I think this is amazing step forward. That's why I'm so proud to be here, because this is the first I've ever heard of. And it's, you guys are pioneers in this space, and this is amazing. I think from here, it's just the start of something. You guys are at the forefront.
And I've got to say thank you to you, Darren, because you're the kind of guys that have set the platform for us. And that's why we need to show, the audience that there's people before us that have come that, walk through the valley of the shadow of death, basically.
Through the white valley of the shadow of Honkies.
right? So
That's right.
you walked at the bones, So you've
just going to stand on his shoulders,
bones,
That's a big.
So you've laid the platform for us. You've created a foundation for us, and I just want to say thank you personally because there's these stories that we don't hear about like yours. That have added to us to this diversity that has opened doors for diversity because you've led the way. And that's why I think it's important to share stories like yours.
Well, the community's booming, right? Yeah. And it's a culture that is absolutely burgeoning, that is saying, we're here, we are, we're really kind of coming alive, we're setting alight so many different facets of society. It's not just rugby league or sports anymore. Right. It's culture, it's media, it's dance, it's music. And here in this media space, you guys are really setting the platform for sharing the stories that are so important to kind of inspire others, to say to other people out there, to young Islanders and Pacifica people out there that we have the goods, we can do it, we have the gifts, we have the power, and we have a voice. So congratulations, boys. Thank you for setting this platform, and thank you for giving a voice to so many Islanders, even old ones like myself.
You got to learn from your elders, right?
Exactly. It's amazing, boys. Congratulations, and thank you so much for having me. It's just been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. How do you have any guidance for any Pacific Islanders who may feel like sort of disconnected or anything from the heritage, or how do we pursue that and try to find
that connection?
Yeah, the connection sort of.
Well, I think there's
even for you.
Yeah, look, it's something that I'd like to explore myself because I wonder how, if I wanted to dig deeper into my culture, and I'm sure that there are islanders. I look to some of my friends in the community and just those that are just around me, just to kind of teach me a little bit about the culture, because it is something that I've struggled with at times, because I want to learn more and I want to kind of explore, because I've never really sort of dug deep into who my mother and father are, to tell you the truth. It's something has always, because I had a feeling that when my mum and dad are still alive, my mum's still alive, that, I want to kind of wait maybe. It's been something that's hung over me, but it's definitely something that I would like to pursue, Izzy. And it's in my heart. It's one thing that maybe is lacking, that I've come into now working for the church. There's a real fulfilling of something that's now coming full circle and using all my skills in the way of the church. But there's still some yearning maybe that I need to kind of find a connection to my own culture in a deeper way than just sort of, learning some words and kind of learning about certain foods, but doing a deeper immersion, you know what I mean? And how does one do that? I'm not too sure. But this is a start for me.
Yeah, definitely. This platform, is probably part of that.
This is a platform for me. And thank you, boys, because I think this is sort of, a deeper sharing is a way for me to really kind of connect. So in that respect, that question, maybe I'm not the best person, because I am on the outer. And this is my way of finding my way in and connecting. And that's something that I do yearn to do. And, I look forward to kind of confronting that and taking that on, with all my heart in the future, for sure.
Mum's still
yeah, she's only up the road at a nursing home.
Yes.
She's battled MS since I was in my late teens, but she's strong as ever. And as you get older, you kind of see the ravages of time take over, and Mum's sort of losing a little bit of, the dementia is setting in. So the time now is more valuable than ever. To spend with your parents, and we do share that family. Again, building on that family theme, it's and again, everything I've ever done is thanks to my mum and dad. You know what I mean? So always giving thanks to them.
Yeah, Darren, I was just saying, so you haven't been back to Tonga yet?
Bro, you know what? Is there a TAFE course that could invite me to do a deep immersion in Tongan culture? Because I would sign up.
Yes.
I would love to go back to or I would love to go to Tonga and explore the place of my heritage because, as I said, there is a hole in my heart there. And, you know, I always thought that, you know, while my parents are still alive, that it's something I could explore. But it's, you know, as I get older, there is certainly.
I know Tongan radio and Tongan, you know, TV. Oh, you'd be a great.
I mean, even here, you know, you got the Australian Museum and the Sydney Uni Museum that are already starting to pull things out of the old vault and share the Pacific history there in the museum. So, you know, as a part of the government here, the whole storytelling thing is starting to open up as well. So that's a good way to sort of connect with everything, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Because there's such a rich, you know, like we have explored the Chinese culture communities that have come, the Vietnam, the Vietnamese migrant story that has been so prevalent since the 70s and 80s, the Lebanese story, the Italian since the, you know, building of the Warwick Gambit, the Snow River, etc. But you know, the Tongan story is still one it's enveloping and that's evolving. And you know, if I can be involved in that, because I am definitely, it's like it's like an onion. You're just unwrapping that, and I'd love to sort of explore the gifts of my heritage further. Definitely. And, you know, there's a lot of young people that are second generation Tongans, as you were saying, Izzy, that would have that yearning as well, I think. So there is certainly something. Maybe,
hey guys, this is a bit of a shout out to the Tongan media and TV. And if you're looking for somebody, this is the man right here. Darren, what when you're talking about stories, because some of the stories you have covered are unique, you know, very unique. What's maybe one story that it comes to mind, you know, when you think about your career in TV and media?
Well, here's the first story that really kind of set me on a sort of upward trajectory was the story of Tony Bullimore, who was the rescued yachtsman back in the day. He was spent 40 days under the hull of his yacht, and the whole world was chasing this guy because he got rescued. He was on this around-the-world trip, and it was the story of stories because this guy had been able to survive under the hull for 40 days just drinking, eating a Mars bar, sort of sipping on sort of like one bottle of water or something.
Wow.
But I managed to find his family in the back of, I think it was like Sussex, in London, and I managed to sign up his family for $150,000. You know what I mean? Just through, I was like a young Rupert Murdoch back then, just finding the talent. And so then when he actually got rescued, the whole world is watching him emerge from his Navy ship, and he was wearing a Channel 7 cap. And I'm like,
boom, there you go.
That was my Usain Bolt moment. And it was my boss rang me, you know, Kerry Stokes rang me. He said, "G'day, is that Darren? Well done, mate. Well done." And, you know, it was kind of the story that got me kind of, you know, Darren can get it. I was, because he came out with a Channel 7 cap. It's still famous to this day, Tony Bullimore, if you look him up on YouTube. And
where did he sink?
He sank on his around the, so he was in Australian waters at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And he was on one of those around the world races, and he was a famous yachtsman who they thought was missing, and the whole world was looking for this guy, and then they found him, under his hull. It was a famous story, but it was the get that was the get of all gets, and one that kind of set me on a path, for sure.
Darren, because you've had all these relationships with a lot of, like, you know, influential people, you know, in TV and media. What are they like? Like, what were those relationships? Are they just normal people like us? And like,
yeah,
you know,
they certainly are. Because,
like,
you know, it's not just today tonight. I worked on the block, so I worked with Scott Cam quite a lot, who was, you know, a carpenter who just got famous by telling jokes at the pub, and someone heard him telling jokes. And they said, "Hey, we need a chippy for the show we're doing called Backyard Blitz." And then Scott, you know, basically got the job as a chippy doing home renos.
And look at him now.
And then look at him now. But when you still talk to him now, he's still that chippy that loves a beer, Sonia Kruger's, a girl from Queensland who just kind of had the drive, but the looks to kind of make it. So when you talk to her, she is absolutely down to earth and still that kind of beach girl that loves sort of the surfing, but is now sort of, all these guys are just your normal Aussies who just had that drive, but also that strike of luck, that kind of, through hard work, but through that little luck got them, in the spotlight, but in their dream jobs where they're
and that's what I like. We tend to glorify or look at people like on the screen, and we may, and it's like there's a bit of a what is it called? You sort of, I can't. Oh, he's famous. Or
self-doubt.
Yes,
a lot of self-doubt.
And it's like, can I get? There's it's impossible to reach that type of thing, that mentality. But it's good to hear it from your perspective. They're just normal, like
they are. They certainly are.
They just work hard,
and when you're working with them, and they, as a team, they know that you're the kind of guy as their producer that's going to make them look good. So they are kind, but ultimately. And look, it is a mix. They're not all that nice. You do get the ruder kind of people that are a bit entitled and that have been doing it for a long time, that have their sort of, have been kind of, especially in the 90s when you had those hosts that were, fated, like I won't mention some names, but the guys that would just insist on having first class tickets everywhere, and they'd have their little kind of pack of like hors d'oeuvres and things and kind of cheeses and little sort of fancy little duck pate that they would take everywhere. They were kind of sport for the 80s. That's where the Kerry Packers and kind of would really kind of treat these guys like But I think things are changing. There's not as many eyeballs on free to as much anymore. It's brought people down to earth. They're not as getting as much of those astronomical fees as well, because I don't know about you guys, but my kids don't watch much free to air TV. They might watch some kind of reality show if they're watching The Block or something, or The Voice if they catch onto it, or Celebrity Get Me Out of Here. But apart from that, I think it's a changing landscape. So look, you boys could be the next Sonia Kruger's, Scotty Cams, because it is going online. It is a changing landscape where people are like, you know what, I don't want to be told what to watch, when to watch. I want to kind of pick when I want to watch, the Nessie Money Show, or when I want to watch, this YouTube channel and go into that kind of bubble.
How are you guys dealing with that, with the social media, with work and everything like that? Are you...
Well, now, thankfully, I'm out of that world now. So I was 10 years on reality TV shows doing freelancing, because I left Today Tonight and then was into a world of working on MKR, The Block. That was where TV was still kind of thriving. Then I went on to 60 Minutes and on to a show called Spotlight, which you might have heard in the last year. It's kind of combusted a little bit in terms of its own controversies and things. But since then, I've traversed into Catholic, the Archdiocese, and doing their comms and news media, creating content for them. So it's interesting that it's all moving online now. So we're seeing a lot more, I think, emphasis on creation of content for YouTube, for the socials, which is an amazing space to be in, especially when it's all faith-based content, which has been great. But I think, it's been said that with free-to-air TV that they're really rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic at the moment, because they're in a death spiral. So the ratings that I would see with 1.2 million, etc., every night for nightly current is no longer. So there's less eyeballs, and that's the changing landscape. So this is really where you want to be now. Podcast space, the YouTube space for sure.
And your role at so your new role. Tell us a little bit more about your new role. So you got this role last year, and I see it's I see a different energy in you, and it's so good. And
thank you. I mean, it's been amazing. So, and if you do have a chance to work for God, to do God's work, it's just been so inspiring and so invigorating for me as a man, as a family, as a leader of the family, as a husband, to be working with the Archdiocese of Sydney. So just to explain, I'm now the manager of news and communications for the Archdiocese of Sydney, and so they're the biggest Archdiocese of Sydney. My boss is Archbishop Anthony Fisher, the head of the Catholic Church in Sydney, and I'm contributing articles every week for the Catholic Weekly, doing a great sort of series called the Disciple Diaries on YouTube. Have a look at it, guys. It's amazing.
Disciple Diaries, nice.
Yeah, but creating content, promoting all the events for the Archdiocese of Sydney, and it's kind of a way of bringing everything I've learned through the years, focused to the faith, focused to doing the work of our Lord and the work of the Archdiocese of Sydney. And guys, look, it's just been such a game changer for me. No longer having the kind of stress of chasing stories, and B, working in that high pressure environment. It's still a lot of stress, but it's different kind of stress because it's all sort of working towards promoting the Lord.
Purpose, yeah.
Greater purpose, for sure, Joe. That's right. Yeah, it's been amazing. So I'm loving it, and onward and upward for me here in this space because the work's Lord's never done. It's great.
That's right.
It's great.
Looking back, how do you feel about your journey so far from, as a young person? What would you say to yourself?
Well, I think it's been amazing just to kind of look back and just through you guys just having a chat, because you often forget all the stuff you kind of have done. And in terms of coming full circle, I just think I'm here where I should be. I'm where I'm at. And you sort of look at it and you go, think, this is all God's plan. I think He's actually kind of been training me to kind of really to gain all those sort of skills so that He can put me now to work with the Archdiocese and sort of, I guess, use all those lessons to promote His work through what they're doing at the Sydney Centre for Evangelisation, where I'm working, and it's just a blessing every day to kind of get up, to go to work with such, these guys, when they ask you how you are, how is the family, they really mean it. Yeah. It's like, how is the family? Yeah. Are you okay? Do you need to take the time off to go to your daughter's presentation because family first? So this is such a different environment, and you can see on my face, I'm just alive now. I'm more invigorated. I'm so revitalized by this environment, by the culture of the church, and by the faith, and it's just a blessing every day. So I just think back to my journey and just think, thank God. It's just God puts you where you need to be, and I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. So, boys, thank you so much for having me on today, and to reflect on my journey so far. Sort of to put it into perspective, I've never had that opportunity to kind of talk through it. It's not like my daughters are going, so Dad, tell me about your story from the word go.
Now they can watch it on repeat.
So interested. Now I'm going to make you watch it every afternoon. You little scoundrels. No, it's just an amazing gift to be here. And congratulations on the work you're doing. And I'm just glad to be part of the rich tapestry that you guys are putting together of stories from our culture. It's beautiful.
Well, you're automatically part of our community. And when I say you're unique, I meant it, and now you've heard the uniqueness and you've seen it in action and in live in person, and I really want to say thank you. And
thank you, Joe. Thank you.
This is just the start of probably new beginnings, for many things that we're going to do, Darren, and I'd love to have you involved in whatever we do, especially pick your brains in terms of storytelling, and so
brother, I'm only a stone's throw away, and I'm always and only too happy to help in the cause and help you guys push this beautiful thing forward. Keep creating, keep producing, and keep inspiring others and igniting the community, because I think it's pioneers and brothers like yourselves that are really, really going to ignite things up, really energize and really celebrate this burgeoning, booming community. So congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Darren.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.